Hi team, Greg, Acupuncture Queenstown. Today's topic is real self-defense. Now the confusion is that people think that martial arts is self-defense. The self-defense is about fighting. It's not. If you get into a fight, your self-defense sucks. Now, we will cover on the course some physical techniques to do. We'll keep them simple. We'll keep them what's called gross motor skill, nothing too complicated, because what's not explained to you in most martial arts stuff and films and self-defense videos that you see on YouTube, etc., is the adrenaline that kicks in when you're proper scared and you're shitting yourself and the bad guys come for you will freak you out. When that happens, your hands shake, you get tunnel vision, your brain stops working, and all the fancy techniques, if you know any, are out of the window. Anything too fine motor skill and fiddly is not going to work. Okay? So, the priority of our real self-defense is understanding how predators think. Women's self-defense, that means there's 2 or 3 main types of predators. We'll explain that in more detail on the course. You need to understand how they think, what they want, and what they're going to do. So your awareness, your intuition, and understanding the bad guys is the biggest thing that you need to understand. Okay? When we come to the physical techniques, we have to keep them simple. All right? So we'll go over that so you understand what you're trying to do, how it works. The plan is what we call bash and dash. You want to hit the guy, do what you can, disable, get away, get out of the situation. You're not there to submit them, you're not there to beat the crap out of them, you're not there to beat them. You simply need to get away. Okay? The danger of the martial arts is that it's about the fighting. And it's straight into a fight and what we call a match fight. A match fight is you've got one guy here or girl here and the other person here and they've agreed to have a fight. They have a distance, they have lots of space, usually nice bright lights, pretty uniforms, maybe a referee, and then, boom, they get into a fight. And they do all this kind of jabbing and stuff, and a few kicks here, and maybe they do the wrestling thing, whatever it is, okay? This is not how it works in the street. You need to know the street is a whole different world. I tend to teach 2 types of self-defense, what I call weddings and parties over here, and the street over here. Now, once you learn how to defend yourself streetwise, you may not want to use these techniques on drunk Barry at a wedding. He gets a little bit too gropey, a little bit too close. You don't want to stick your thumb in his eye and rip it out, okay? However, having said that, drunk Barry can very easily get himself a little upset and overworked, and you might need to move into the street side. This is the side of the martial arts are great. Weddings and parties. I've used this quite a few times at weddings and parties. It's great. You put someone in a lock, you calm them down, you could just, settle down. It's okay. No big drama. This will not, it might work on this side if you spent 20, 30 years training, okay? If you're a jiu-jitsu champion, boxing champion, judo champion, maybe it's going to work over here. Again, most of the time, even with that amount of training, all the great techniques that you've got are out of the window because your brain simply can't access them under adrenal stress. It's the most important thing about a real fight is adrenal stress, okay? So, weddings and parties can move into the street never comes this way, okay? Here's an analogy for you, which was explained to me by a teacher of mine when I was back in London. The martial arts is like learning to swim. You go to a martial art class, you get a nice uniform, you practice on nice padded mats, nice bright rooms, the lights are clear, with other people who are quite nice. No one's really trying to kill you. You learn new techniques, which is great. That's how it works. Same as going to swimming class. You swim in nice pools, the water's at an even temperature, there's no waves in it, bright lights, lifeguards there in case anything goes wrong. You get a nice pair of Speedos, expensive goggles, that sort of thing. Now if you get better at swimming, you might start to have some competitions. You might think you're pretty good. You might win, you might come second, third, whatever. You improve. If you really stick with it, you might become a local champion, national champion, perhaps you even go to the Olympics. Perhaps you become Michael Phelps. Greatest swimmer in the history of swimming, I think. Millions of medals, blah, 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 okay? Then one day, you go on holiday to Australia. You go to a beach you're not familiar with. It's got riptides and stuff in it. You end up caught in one of these riptides. All your fancy swimming doesn't matter much. What helps a little bit is your technique and your fitness. Great, but you're not used to riptides. Lifeguards save you, you come out and you go, oh, shit, I don't know how to swim in waves and riptides. I better change my technique. You learn lifeguarding stuff. You learn to swim on the beach. This is kind of like moving from the traditional martial arts into, say, boxing, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, maybe judo. where it's much more full on, there's much more chance of things going wrong. It's much more of a fight. Less pretty techniques and pre-organized movements. Still, there are referees, there are rules, the same as there are lifeguards on the beach at Bondi. Then one day, you decide to go on a fishing trip with some friends. You go overnight on one of these ones you stay out somewhere on some lovely boat. But a storm comes in the middle of the night, tips the boat over. Oh, now you're fucked. See, it's dark. There's waves around, there's bits of boat smashing you in the head. 2 of your friends have already died, you've heard them scream and go down. You don't know what the fuck's going on. All your swimming technique here applies almost nothing. Apart from, again, maybe you keep yourself afloat and maybe you remember to breathe. And here's the thing. The old skipper of the boat, he understands how the sea works. He knows where the weather is. He saw the storm coming, couldn't do anything about it, but he was ready for it. He's been there before. He knows the life jackets are. He knows if he missed the life jacket, what else he can use to keep himself afloat. He survives. You take him to the pool one day, can't swim for shit. Okay, no technique, hasn't got a six-pack, hasn't got lovely abs and the whole thing, hasn't got a belt, hasn't got anything helpful, but he knows how the sea works. Now, I've trained in martial arts from all around the world. I hold 2 black belts and other bits and pieces. I train with some of the best people in the world. Can't claim to be the best person in the world. I don't. I'm not the world's greatest fighter. As you can see, I'm not the biggest guy in the world. I'm not full of tattoos, broken noses. I haven't been in a million street fights. But I've trained with people that have. And all the guys I've trained with, and girls, who've actually had some real world experience when the shit really hits the fan, are going to tell you. None of the fancy wrist locks work. None of the fancy arm locks work. All the other stuff doesn't really happen. The fancy high kicks, no. Jumping kicks, no. Even some of the fancy groundwork and stuff you see in the UFC, it's not a real fight, there's a referee there. In the real fights, it kicks off, you go, boom. Your brain flips from this, which is your frontal cortex, which is for thinking, into this. This is your primal brain, your survival brain, and it just has to get itself out. All the fancy things aren't there. Now, a lot of the techniques that you learn in most of your martial art courses and so on will be taught to you when you're calm. So you actually load them into this part of your brain, the frontal part of your brain, which is great. Even in competition, a little bit of adrenaline in the competition, maybe there's a crowd, a little bit nervous, but not so full on. You can still access, not quite as well. People don't look quite as good in competition as they do when you see videos of them training at home or training in the dojo or doing some demonstration work. But still, you're kind of halfway between the two. When the adrenaline properly kicks in, boom, flip into this back part of your brain. Now, your brain being like a computer, it's like a different filing system. And when it gets there, the brain goes, what's in this filing system? The shit's hit the fan, what are we going to do? And there's nothing there. Just a big white screen. Nothing. The most effective self-defense course I ever did was a 2-day course, 2 days, 1 night, in Colorado in the States. It's called the Ramcat course, run by a guy called Peyton Quinn and a guy called Bill Kipp. What they did there was they put you in a situation where your adrenaline kicked in. Adrenal stress conditioning, they called it. You learn techniques under adrenal stress. And I might try and put some videos in here if I can be technical enough. You can see me fighting on there. Looks pretty messy. There were guys on the course that I was doing who ran their own karate schools. There's a Vietnam vet on there. There was a guy at the 5th Dan, I think, ran a whole school of things all over the States, whole, franchise thing. Very good martial artist. No one looks good. Everyone looks messy. If you watch any of those YouTube videos of real fights, even the bouncers don't look good, and that's their profession. Okay, this is reality of how things go. So we're going to learn bad guys, what they do, how they think, how real fights happen, how to keep things simple, and the most effective or the most important self-defense technique that I think I've ever learned. Okay, it's a simple thing, and you won't even notice that most of the time now, whilst I'm chatting to you, I'm actually doing it. It's called a fence. It's taught to me by a guy called Jeff Thompson. Fantastic, absolute legend in the world of the martial arts and self-defense. So what I've got is got my hands up here. It's just fence. I'm slightly stepped back with my right leg. So my right hand, my power hand. We're chatting away, nothing special. I'm not all like this. I'm not here. Not doing my kung fu thing. Not doing my karate thing. Not even doing the boxing thing. We're just chatting. But I'm doing this all the time. So my hands are here. Okay. I'll explain how this works, why this is the most important thing you need to understand in a face-to-face confrontation. The other techniques we'll have to cover is surprise things and so on. Essentially, from a self-defense point of view, we talk about soft skills and hard skills. Soft skills should be 80 to 90% of what you're doing. They say soft, it's not really the best word, I think, because it makes it sound like it's a bit wishy-washy, not important. It's the most important thing. This is your awareness, your intuition, your understanding, again, how the bad guys work. I've said this before. Knowing all of this, being pre-prepared, knowing what to do if something happens, knowing your options. So if someone comes up to you and says, "What are you looking at?" You know straight away something's kicked off. We'll explain this to you as well. It's called an interview. Okay, it's actually like a jab. It's like boom, like a jab in boxing. They jab, 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 and then they go for the heavy hit. That's what they're waiting for, opening you up. The verbal is a verbal jab. It's to see what you do. When you go, boom, victim. You're going down. And they know that. The bad guys know this. Okay. It's a jab. It's a little technique, it's a little feeler to see what's happening. Now, some people, you say, "What you looking at?" And they just go, "What, fuck off?" Then the guy knows, oh, it's going to be a bit of a fight here. But I'm not expecting the ladies to do this. This isn't in your nature. We have to work around this. If you're in a car park, late at night, there's nobody else there. A guy walks past, looking rather dodgy. Says, "What you looking at?" What you going to do? Self-defense. You know what you're going to do? Turn the fuck around and run back where you came from. If you just come out of hospital, you just come out of work, come out of something, boom, back to people. Bad guys hate people being around. You don't want to just scuttle off hoping it's going to be okay, because they're going to follow you. Okay, we need to understand how this is. We need to understand these important principles. So we'll cover all this. The last 10%, 10 to 20% is hard skills. Hard skills are what they sound like. This is where you have to do the walloping stuff. Okay, this does require practice. It's not as automatic as it may seem, but we have to keep it simple. Okay, and we'll simplify this down into hand strikes. Okay, we're going to go for 2 major types of hand strikes with a few different angles. We'll use some elbows, we'll use some knees, and that's about it. We'll do some basic getting out of being held to the ground, and we'll repeat this. We'll practice these. It's simplicity and it's aggression. Your attitude makes the biggest difference in most of the situations. The reason I like to teach these courses, to women and people who aren't used to the self-defense type thing, so it's guys as well, it's not to be sexist. Women's self-defense is a bit different. Guys' self-defense involves a lot of macho stuff, what one of my teachers calls the monkey dance. A lot of just monkeys going, and stuff. And you see this in the pubs every Saturday night. Pretty much anywhere you can find guys doing this. Okay, the women's self-defense is different because the predators have a different mindset to a certain extent. Although there is girl-on-girl fights which have a similar thing to the monkey thing. You'll find a lot of self-defense teachers out there, big dudes, tough, take a lot of walloping, been around a bit and stuff. This is good, but it may not actually be what you need. You actually need a little guy like me who's not actually that tough to explain to you how to get out of shit, what does work and what doesn't. When do you think the last time that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson got mugged? Probably never. Okay, now he's got a security team, of course, because he's famous. Since he was an adult, I think it's highly unlikely. Same with a lot of the big dudes you see. Even Conor McGregor's quite a small dude, but we know he's a UFC fighter. We know he's very good. Attitude and confidence means that hardly anybody will have done that, I would have thought, as an adult. Some of us have victim written on our forehead, some of us don't. And the bad guys see this. We need to know why, how they choose things, what we can do about that. In many cases, a lot of your martial art teachers are the worst self-defense teachers. Why? Because they will focus on the fight. That's all they teach you is fight. And they tend to teach you to fight to win, which sounds weird. I'm not saying you don't want to win, but we don't have to go in and finish it. You go to jiu-jitsu and stuff and they're going to teach you, yep, the guy does this, you take him around the ground, you do this, you lock him up, you get points. It becomes a competition thing, and you stay in the fight to submit the guy or choke him out, whatever. But with self-defense and for general self-defense, we don't want to stay there. We don't have to. Pop up, we want to get out of here. Okay. Now there's some great videos on YouTube. Some great stuff, some great resources which I'll be using. Excuse me. If you want to look up some stuff in the meantime, look up anything by Jeff Thompson, Lee Morrison, Richard Dimitri, and I'll think of some other people. I'll put the links down in the description or in the comments section. So any questions, pop in the comment section and ask. I'll be emailing things out to see when we're going to run another one of these. And hopefully, by the time you finish it, you'll have a better understanding of what we're trying to do. Again, I'm not going to turn you into Ronda Rousey, okay? Oh, and Ronda Rousey, if I got in a fight with Ronda Rousey, she'll win. No question, okay? Fantastic. Get to the ground, boom, arm, snap it, no problem, okay? So, we don't want to get into the fight. Just see how it works. Do what we need to do. Get away. We'll cover all this. I'll speak to you soon. Thanks.